If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
Hi, my name is Nikki, and I'm the daughter of a murdered woman. Welcome back to Poppy Killed Mommy. Before we get started, I gotta give you the trigger warning. This podcast contains discussions of domestic violence, homicide, and other potentially distressing topics. The individual mentioned in this episode is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Listener discretion is advised. I started Poppy Killed Mommy with the hope that media pressure might finally lead to justice in my mom's 32-year-old domestic violence death. For weeks, I've walked you through the events leading up to my mother's murder, the aftermath, and the police investigation that followed. Today, you're going to hear something very few people have ever heard. The final interview with Russell Peterson, conducted on September 3rd, 1993. It runs just over 30 minutes, and it's the last time he ever spoke to police about the night my mother died. Before I play it, I want you to keep in mind that this is the fourth version of events he has given, and by now his story has completely changed. He contradicts himself, rambles about irrelevant details, and when pressed, falls back on a selective memory. Listen closely, not just to what he says, but to what he avoids saying. Pay attention to the way he paints himself as the victim and how quickly he crumbles when the detectives call him out.
93. President is myself, Detective Walter Spokes, Lieutenant Danish Schmidt of the Sedona Police Department, and Mr. Russell Peterson. We're here to discuss the death of Miss Wasilishin a couple months ago, or a month or so ago. Okay, Russell, we've talked before a couple of times and everything. And again, you're not under arrest. You're free to leave at any time. I called to ask you to come here, and you agreed to come here and speak to me. Again, you can leave if you want. Anytime, you can stop the interview. It is an interview, you know, even though we're just talking.
I understand.
And again, since it's been a while since we started talking, I'm just going to advise you of your rights again, just so you keep them in mind and you're aware of them. And that's all. That's the only reason for that. Again, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to the presence of an attorney to assist you prior to questioning and to be with you during questioning if you so desire. If you cannot afford an attorney, you have the right to have an attorney appointed for you prior to questioning. You understand these rights?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You agree to speak with me today?
Yes, I do. I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
Yeah, that's in the same spot I had before last time I heard them. So I read them that way. Okay. Let's start out, if we can, by going over the events again of the 9th of July. And if we can start wherever you want prior to coming home, whatever. Let's start when you last talked to Stephanie.
She called me 3 times. In between 10 and 11:15 when I actually left. And it was very odd. The fact that she, once, okay, when you're coming home, to call me again when you're coming home, and to the repetition of it after the fact, well, it leads me to believe, which I have believed from the start, that the conversation, something went on with the conversation. I'll give you my telephone bill. That she had with Craig, and she called him back at 11:20, which is approximately when I did walk in the door.
Okay. If you do have that bill, I'd like a copy.
I'll give it to you. I'll give you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was something that there was no reason for, after a 2-hour conversation, which was highly unusual. There was no reason for her to really have to call back. to call back because to confirm something. I feel...
Was it calling Craig back?
Yes. Okay. I feel that the act... I can't forgive her for wanting to kill me. But I feel that the act was premeditated. Because the gun that I have, that you guys have, was in a place, and in such a place on the second shelf of the closet, underneath clothes, behind this thing, that the time that she took to get up, to go into the bedroom, to come back out of the bedroom, and the last words I ever heard out of your mouth were, Russell, I'm going to kill you. You're not tall enough to get it. You didn't leave yours. It was put somewhere where it was more accessible to her. I don't know what else I can tell you guys.
Okay. Okay, well, you got home at about 11:20.
I got home.
What happened?
I come, I sit down. Russell, you fucking stink. The basic language. She was kind of hardcore, not kind of, very hardcore, straightforward. Coming home from work, fine. I had a bottle of Jordan wine because I knew that in less than 30 hours, a culmination of 15 years of work, I was accepted to Ithaca, New York, to go to the Taste of the Cordon Bleu. It was paid for. The tickets were... I'm there. The restaurant bought me a fucking $1,300 set of knives to go with me. My gains were like her losses. My achievements were a piece that would probably something that she couldn't accept. And all I wanted to do was have sex that night. All I wanted to do was come home, step. I know that Friday's going to be a very hectic day for me. Everything's going to be packed. My father's coming to pick me up early Saturday morning. I'm going to be out of here by 7 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, I'm on the plane, and I'm doing my thing. I'm doing a dream. She didn't let me go.
Okay. So you came home.
I took a shower.
Stinks. Then what happened?
I came home. You stink. Okay, fine. I take a shower. I come out of the shower. We sit on the couch, and we're just talking. And you want to know something? Because it was no relevance. Because the conversation, it was not argumentative. It was not vicious. Most of it was based on this conversation that she had with Craig. Oh, I talked to him. Oh, I did this. Oh, everything else. Fine. I don't have the buttons that you can push to make me want to put me into that mode. We're just sitting, talking, not a big deal. I may or may not have told you this. It's one thing to see something on television. It's another thing to come home on the verge of what you're doing and everything else and have the person that has been part of your life for 6 years I trained her. I gave her the skills in the restaurant to do desserts. I gave her a sense of respect. I'm sure you checked her out. She comes from a very unstable, shitty background. One of which that I don't come from. Obviously, you guys don't come from that. But when we met at the Crescent Hotel, I would see her. She'd come in, and I'll never forget the statement that you and the other detective, Gary Sharavo?
Saravo.
Okay. When you guys came you came to my house, and you said, Stephanie's mother or Stephanie's sister has told you that on at least 50 occasions that I had beaten her.
Right.
I never, in 6 years, ever raised a hand to her. That is something, that's a way of trying to put this picture together and lay shit on me. Her ex-boyfriend did, Craig. documented. Has to be. Put her in the hospital a few times. He used to knock the shit out of her, and that's maybe their way of dealing with this. I don't know. I don't know. Go home and to have such an act happen, it's.
So you went home. You were sitting on the couch.
We had a glass of wine. We're talking. We had a glass of wine. Everything else. I was out of the shower. I'm sitting in the center of the couch. The next thing I know, she gets up.
Okay.
Not a word said. Not out of aggression. Not out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just get up. Okay, fine. You get up, you go to the bedroom. You could have went to the bedroom to piss. You could have went to the bedroom to lay down. You could have went to the bedroom to do whatever. But to go to the bedroom and to come out and want to kill me.
Okay, so she went to the bedroom.
She went to the bedroom. She went to the bedroom. She came out of the bedroom, standing 8 feet, if that, from me. And she comes out of the hallway, and I'm sitting like this on the couch, and I'm watching television. But I see her come out, look out of the corner of my eye. And she comes out, Russell, I'm going to kill you. And I looked, I turned, I put my hands up, and I said, wait, Stephanie, what's going on? What's the matter? Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
The shot goes off. I fall back into the couch. I hear the gun recock. She turns around, and she doesn't wait to look or to see if I am dead, if I've been hit. You guys know from what I've told you, where that bullet went through and went outside, and where I was sitting, that if I was a more reactional person, and if I would have went, wait, Steph, she would have hit a lure. If she would have aimed for my chest, she wouldn't have missed. She aimed for my head, and she was only about this far off. Becomes, I almost thought I was shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to look at the barrel and the size of that frickin' gun that my father gave me, I never thought I'd be looking down the barrel of a 44 Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell back into the couch as if I was. She turned around. She goes into the bedroom. My daughter got up, fell asleep because of the noise. Time becomes very difficult. Now, I'm not talking minutes. I'm talking seconds. I get up off the couch. Now I know that there's a loaded cock 44 Magnum in the bedroom. And I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there. I'm going in there basically to see, because I kind of know what are your choices.
Okay.
I go through the hall. I walk. The door is 3/4 of the way closed. I open the door. I take a step. I'm in the bedroom. I know I told you guys of this fight. I know I told you guys of this confrontation, of this struggle. I really don't think, and I am not excluding, that maybe it did or did not happen. And that's the point of like darkness for me. I don't think there was a struggle. The struggle was my own struggle. I wanted to grab her. I wanted to stop. Why'd you shoot at me? Stop the madness. Why did all this happen? You never gave me the chance.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. It'll come to me. I don't think I ever put my hands on her.
Why don't you think that?
Because I saw her fall from a distance.
You saw her fall from a distance?
Yes, I saw her legs buckle.
How did she fall? Okay, and then what? How did she land?
Her head, because she was in the corner. She was in the corner, and the corner was created because the television sat there in the closet. She was standing right there. She just went limp. The life was gone from her.
When she hit, was she on her front, on her back, on her side?
Her head hit the television at the knobs on the television. And then it hit the table because the table was on top. The television was on top of the table. And her head went under the table. She landed on her back. And I saw all of this, and it was just, no. No, this isn't part of reality. This isn't my life. This didn't happen. Too much. And I looked. I kind of knew she was dead, but I didn't want to accept it. I had to take a step to get to her. And I took the step, and she's laying there, and there's a lot of blood. And the gun is right next to her. And my first reaction was, wait, I'll take the gun, I'll put it over here, which is exactly what I did. Then I stood there for a second, and something clicked off in my mind that, no, you can't do that, Russell. So I took it back, and I set it back down, and I went down to one knee, and I lifted up her head. It was almost to pick her up. Come on, get up. No, come, get up. And I set her head back down.
She laying on her back at that time?
Yes, she's laying on her back. I set her head back down, and I turn around, and this is where I know that kind of is a little stuck. As I open the door, and as I take the step, and as the gun goes off, she's up, and she's down the hall. But if I'm standing there, she can't really see, but she saw her mother fall. And the act of myself, we're talking about a 4-year-old, she just turned 4 August 8th. One person up, one person down. She sees me pick up the gun, put it here. She sees me pick it there and put it back down. She sees me try and pick her up. She sees me set her back down and make the phone call. With the noise and the finality, what else is she going to think but my dad shot my mom?
Obviously, there's been a bunch of, or a number of discrepancies in how you've told the story a couple of times. You're on a mission. At one point, you told us that you struggled, and at the other point, you said that you didn't. And then when I went over and I talked to you,
I called you up and I volunteered the information.
On that Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then when we talked to you again at Oco Diablo.
Yeah, that's Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon.
Then today when we talked to you, that's probably the 4 major times we interviewed.
Fourth or fifth
time. Every time we've talked to you and every time we've interviewed you, the story's been different. Okay, and it's been at that one point, where the main event happened, the tragedy. Okay, happened. So, again, 1 minute you say you struggle with him, then another time you said you didn't struggle. Then you described how she fell. Okay, now we got and how she landed. We've talked to your daughter, who described how she was laying on the ground. Okay, we also have what you said on the 911 tape. You talked to the fire dispatcher, emergency dispatcher, and a police dispatcher. But we also have the autopsy results. and the forensic evidence that was gathered at the scene, and the evidence that was gathered or learned, the information learned from the autopsy. And we have. This is not the gun, but this is the same basic gun. It's the same model. The grip's a little different. And what I'm showing you is a Ruger 44 Magnum. Okay. The gun
it's not vented at the front.
Right. It's not vented. That's an option. This is the basic gun, the same model. If you were to go out and buy it stock, okay, it has different grips on it and everything. We've taken this gun. We've got a person who matches Stephanie's dimensions exactly. You measured her arms. You measured Stephanie's arms when we were doing our investigation. We found someone who matches the arms, the same, as reasonably effective, the same. We went through and we tried to reenact the scene of what happened. And it doesn't work that she shot herself. And when we talked to you the last time, we told you that we didn't believe it was a suicide. Right. Because of the evidence of someone of her same build using this gun, they weren't able to squeeze the trigger. And you told us she was right-handed.
Yeah.
Okay. There is no evidence that she fired the gun in her right hand. Okay. I'm sorry. The testing is such that it's inconclusive if she fired the gun in her right hand. What we do have, though, and what the medical examiner believes, and the evidence shows, is a defensive position with her left hand. Meaning that there was some evidence that showed that she was pushing the gun away with her left hand. One of the reasons why it wasn't a suicide. Okay, the actual event, and we're concerned with everything in total, but the actual event when the gun went off and she died. Okay, how that happened. We're concerned that she came out and that, as you state, and unfortunately there's no one else to back you up, okay, that she came out and shot at you first, okay? You handled the firearm on your own self-admission. Yes, that you handled it, okay? The results just from you handling it and the powder residue on your body and everything all comes from the fact that you were in an area when a gun went off, whether you shot it or whether she shot it. Okay, so those are like inconclusive. Doing your hands, if the powder residues had come out, it would have been inconclusive because you readily admit that you handled the firearm. Yes, and that's all it really it shows. But with the powder in her thing there, the medical examiner is under the opinion that it was a defensive posture. How can you? How do you explain maybe that?
I can't explain it.
Yeah. Okay. You don't. How could she? Again, you're saying she's right-handed and trying to pull the trigger like this. We have the trajectory and everything on how the bullet was.
I don't even know where she was shot.
Everything appears to be there was a struggle. Okay, there was a struggle. Okay. What happened? We just want the truth. If it's an accident, it's an accident.
Giving you guys above and beyond myself the truth.
Now you've heard your story. Okay, and I related to you basically some of the evidence that we have, and I've kind of basically given you some of our concerns as to why it's hard to believe that it happened as you're remembering it. Right? You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to give you, an opportunity to respond and to help us. I mean, again, because if it was an accident, we want to prove it was an accident. As we told in the very beginning, if it was an accident, we're not out to hang you. We're not out to get a conviction on you because of an accident. I mean, accidents happen. Reasonable people can believe accidents happen.
Correct.
Evidence can show that an accident happened. Or an evidence can not necessarily show that it was an accident, but can corroborate that it was an accident. You know, it makes it easier for a reasonable person to believe that there was a struggle, if there was. Again, we told you that if it was premeditated on your part, or if it was a murder, then we would prosecute you to the best of our ability.
To the fullest.
And that's an understanding we've had. And you have been, I believe you've been truthful with us up to a point. I believe now that you get to where the event happened, and I believe you know what happened. You know what happened during that event because you explained it to us how you believed it happened initially. You were very clear. It was corresponding with what your daughter said. Everything was everything was falling into place. Now you don't know what happened. Now, if you don't know what happened, now the second and third time that we interviewed you, we put the evidence together, and it's like the evidence is showing that she did not commit suicide. Okay, there was no one else present in the room. Correct? Just
No,
you.
no, it was her and myself.
Okay, she can't speak for herself. We have to represent her and her interests here. What do you think the outcome to a grand jury or to would be on what we have?
I don't know, because I don't know what you guys have.
Okay. What
You know, you
explained to
called me 4 weeks ago on a Thursday, and I said, Russell, we need to talk. And you said, I said, okay, fine. And it was planned for like Tuesday, and you never called me back. And so, you know, the thing of it is that I've been left a victim, and everything was stripped of me throughout this. And I would, I want to know myself.
Well, you said you or everything was stripped from you. I think we've been more.
No.
Let me finish, okay? I think we've been more than understanding with you, okay? You've canceled appointments with us, okay? We've scheduled them with you, okay? I've tried calling you. You moved. You promised me you'd give me your phone number as soon as you got a new one, and that you had the phone. You just didn't recall it. You never returned that. You know, we've gone out of our way. I mean, we've been over backwards to show that it was an accident for you. Okay, we have no reason to doubt what you were telling us initially was true. Initially, what you were telling us, we had no reason to doubt what you initially and your the statements and the evidence at the scene, what was saying. And then when you change the story, we have to be able to convince. I have to convince this man that it was an accident. And just from what you said today, he wasn't convinced before that it was an accident. And I can't. He was sitting here, but I don't see you showing anything to convince today that it was an accident or that she committed suicide. And again, it's going to go before reasonable peers. Okay. And that's where the decisions are going to be made if it goes to a grand jury, a group of reasonable people. And we're going to present it. Again, when we told you before, we want the truth, and the truth means consistency in what happened. It's just, you know, you're saying you want things, and we're also looking for the right steps.
Exactly.
And something's happened here, we want the truth. And I don't know. I mean, you know, once you know if you were in the room, if you struggled or not. There's no way an event of that sort you would forget. I mean, I don't care how tragic it is. I mean, it is tragic. It's probably the biggest thing that's happened in your life.
It's the biggest thing that'll ever happen in my life.
It's the biggest thing that happened in your children's life, and in the life, and in Stacy's life. I mean, it's a traumatic event. Normally, when you forget things on selectively forgetting what happened, you forget it from the very beginning. You don't make up a story to say that you were trying to stop something. I mean, you remember what happened and was freshest and clearest in your mind right after the event. And that's when we talked to you. You know, 1 minute you were saying she crumpled forward. Now you're saying she landed on her back.
No, she just dropped off tracks.
And we asked you how she landed. You said she was on her back. But that's not what initially was was reported. Initially, you said that she fell forward, down, because of the struggle, and then she just dropped straight down forward, almost into a fetal position, straight down, face down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you explain forgetting all this?
I can't explain it.
Do you have anything you want to add, or anything else you want to talk about,
No.
or discuss?
Mm-mm.
You can, yeah. See that, Russell.
I just wish it was all. I wish it was all
Over. And we want to get it over.
So I can continue and go forth with my life and raising my daughter and just going and achieving the goals that I've set throughout.
But Russell, that's the problem we're having. We want to help you do that also. We want to get this cleared up. We want to get it over with. We want you to go on with your life, and we go on with other things we've got. The problem I am having, and I know that Walt and Gary have had also, is up to a certain point, we were getting to where we understood or thought that what you were telling us was the way it happened. And then there became a point after the first few interviews or first few days interview where you canceled the polygraph, which would have helped you clear this up, would have helped us clear this up. You canceled the polygraph. The reenactment, which would help the detectives get a better grasp of exactly how it happened. You canceled that.
Mm-hmm.
You become not maybe intentionally or whatever, but uncooperative up to a point, which is leaving you and leaving us with a real problem here. I can't, in all consciousness, believe that it happened the way you say it happened, when all of a sudden, like Lon said, you kind of selectively forgot and selectively quit cooperating with us to get to this point. If it was an accident, you struggled, we can all live with that. That's not a problem. But you remember the one way up to a point, and the polygraph, like I say, and the reenactment would have helped us immensely clear up some doubts in our mind,
Mm-hmm.
which you've left us with now. I mean, I've got some real doubts, and when it goes to the grand jury, we'll have to see how the grand jury, and like Walt says, the grand jury people are just your peers. They're reasonable people.
Correct.
If I was sitting on a jury and I saw, well, he cooperated up to this point, and then the officers tried to get a polygraph set up in a reenactment, and all of a sudden you quit cooperating, that's not going to leave me with a real warm, fuzzy feeling about the whole thing. So you got to understand where we're coming from.
No, you guys want to get this done as much as I
we do.
And all that.
And we understand, we can't understand. We've seen enough deaths. We see them all the time.
Business,
but they still aren't easy for us to deal with either. And I can't maybe Walt and I, neither one of us can really comprehend what you're feeling. It's 12:35. We're continuing our conversation with Mr. Peterson. The tape had stopped. It wasn't observed stopped, and we just turned it over at this point. Okay. Just let me ask that question again. Just want to make sure you have it on tape. Coming out with the pistol, how long was she gone?
Less than 10 seconds.
Okay, so it was just like she walked right in there.
Walked right in and came right back out. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Along the same lines, how long after she fired the round at you, before you went into the bedroom? Did you sit on the couch a minute and think about it? Did you jump right up and go follow her?
No, I fell back into the couch almost as if I felt I was shocked. It wasn't less than a minute. For 30 seconds.
So after you recovered from the initial shock of the shot, you got up and walked into the bed.
Right.
Okay. Where was the holster?
I don't know. Because I have a custom Bonacci holster that thing goes in. I don't know.
You don't know where it was during the struggle or the
No, because I didn't.
Did you ever touch the holster?
No. I don't know where the holster was.
You don't know where the holster was. Okay, she's down.
Picked the gun up off the floor. I put it in the closet on the shelf. I look and I say to myself, no, Russell, you can't do that. I take it back down. I set it where it was. I go and lift her head up. I set it back down. And I call 911.
Just like that. You don't go anywhere else? You don't do anything else? She drops somehow. Do you hear the shot or do you see the shot? Do you see her pull the trigger?
I can't see her hands.
Why?
Because it's dark.
It's dark, so you can't see her hands.
Yeah. No.
So you go into a bedroom that's dark with somebody with a 44 Magnum who just tried to kill you. And you don't look to see where her hands are.
I didn't have the chance to see her hand.
So she falls. You then go over to her, see she's down, and then call 911.
Mm-hmm.
Where was your daughter?
After I turned around to go and get the phone, I turned and looked, and I saw her standing in the hallway. By her room, right outside of her bedroom door.
If you want to take a break at any time, you're more than welcome to.
Well, you want to know? It is a Friday, and it is the beginning of a big weekend, and I've got a lot of stuff to do.
Okay.
And if you want to talk to me again at the beginning of next week, I'll be happy to come back down there.
Okay.
But I would truly choose. I have to go to work.
Okay. We don't want to. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. It's 12:40. We ended our interview with Mr. Peterson.
I think when you're diagnosed with cancer, you crave a semblance of normalcy and control, and so work allowed me to be me. So I think it's really important that companies stay flexible. Cancer and a diagnosis can be all-consuming, but it doesn't have to be.
Research shows there is a significant connection between the ability to continue to work and cancer recovery. We can make work a better place for healing.
Learn more and sign the pledge at workingwithcancerpledge.com.
Now that you've heard it for yourself, I want to share my thoughts. Number 1, he completely changes his story again. Earlier, Russell had claimed that there might have been a struggle. In his interview, he swings back and forth, first insisting that there wasn't a struggle, then saying that maybe there was, then saying it was just his own struggle inside his head. He even admits, I know I told you guys of this fight. I really don't think. Maybe it did or did not happen. That's the point of darkness for me. So what is it, Russell? No one forgets if they physically fought someone for their life. That's not a memory lapse. That's a lie. Number 2, the absurd claim of premeditation by my mom. Russell actually tries to paint my mom as having premeditated his murder. He says she dug his .44 Magnum out from under clothes on the closet shelf and came out with it. He tells detectives, I can't forgive her for wanting to kill me. This is the same man who admitted in a prior walkthrough that he picked the gun up, put it away, then put it back. Now suddenly it's her plan and he's the victim. He's not just lying, he's rewriting her entire personality to fit his narrative. Number 3, his she told me she was going to kill me line is straight out of a script. He insists the last words my mom ever said were, Russell, I'm going to kill you. That's convenient, isn't it? It's a built-in defense, a one-liner to frame her as the aggressor. But detectives had already told him the forensic evidence showed otherwise, that my mom was in a defensive posture when she was shot, pushing the gun away. Number 4, the contradictions about how she fell. He tells detectives, I saw her legs buckle, she just went limp, then seconds later admits he couldn't actually see her hands in the dark room. At other times, he claims she fell forward into a fetal position. Now she's on her back. His story changes every time, and the detectives call him on it. Number 5, his rambling monologues are rehearsed deflections. Instead of clear answers, he goes off on tangents about her unstable background, their relationship, and his career plans. He talks about being accepted to culinary school, the expensive knives he just bought, and how his gains were her losses. He wants the detectives, and now us, to see him as a successful, sympathetic man with a dream, and not the man who pulled the trigger. Number 6, he actually explains away my sister's words. Russell admits my little sister saw him pick up the gun, move it, put it back down. He tells detectives, what else is she going to think but my dad shot my mom? This is chilling. He knew exactly what she said after the murder. Poppy killed mommy, Poppy killed mommy, Poppy killed mommy. And here he is trying to explain it away like it was a misunderstanding instead of the truth. Number 7, they lay it out clearly in this interview. The reenactment proved my mom physically could not have fired the gun at that angle. The medical examiner confirmed she was in a defensive posture. Gunshot residue tests were inconclusive only because Russell admitted to handling the weapon. And what does Russell say when confronted with this science? I can't explain it. Number 8, he shuts it down when the pressure builds. As soon as detectives push too hard, Russell pulls the classic, I need to go back to work excuse. He says, it's a Friday. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I truly choose to leave. And they let him walk out just like that. Number 9, the polygraph and the reenactment he canceled. Detectives point out the elephant in the room. He had agreed to a polygraph and a scene reenactment and canceled both. They tell him directly that his cooperation stopped when things got serious, leaving them with real doubts. And yet nothing came of it. My thoughts. Listening to this final interview is infuriating. Russell's story shifts with every telling. He creates a convenient villain out of my mom, a woman forensic evidence shows was fighting for her life. He rambles to distract, drops self-serving details to look like a victim, and when pinned down, he suddenly can't remember. He moves the gun, contaminates the scene, and then blames my 3-year-old sister's words on her imagination. And despite detectives telling him to his face that the evidence didn't match his story, despite the contradictions and his refusal to take a polygraph, he walked away, free, never questioned again. And that was September 3rd, 1993. Moving on with the timeline, 6 weeks after that last interview, on October 14th, 1993, Russell Peterson contacted investigators and provided them with his current telephone number. How convenient. The next day, on October 15, 1993, as requested, Mr. Peterson dropped off a copy of his July telephone bill. 98 days later. It was not subpoenaed, it was voluntarily dropped off by the suspect by request of the detective 98 days after the altercation. The phone bill showed a call at 1:36 a.m., giving him at least 3 minutes to stage the crime scene before dialing 911. Once again, I want to tell you that call was never investigated. 4 days later, on October 20th, 1993, investigators met with the county attorney Chuck Hastings. They reviewed the investigation, and after discussing the case, Mr. Hastings suggested to investigators that they contact a psychologist and review Mr. Peterson's statements with them and ask for an opinion. The investigator with the Yavapai County Attorney's Office, Gary Sevaro, advised that he would make the contact. Mr. Hastings advised that if no new information was revealed after the review of the psychologist, he would consider the investigation complete and make a charging decision at that time. As far as I can find going through my mother's case file, this evaluation was never conducted. A psychologist was never contacted to go over Russell Bennett Peterson's statements in 1993. On November 9, 1993, 3 weeks after the Sedona Police Department obtained that phone bill from Russell Peterson, and 20 days after the Yavapai County requested a psychological evaluation, the Yavapai County released a statement summarizing my mother's case as having insufficient evidence to prosecute. The statement reads as such. I have now had the opportunity to review both reports together with the interview transcripts, including 4 separate interviews of the suspect. While there are inconsistencies in the suspect's stories, the inconsistencies together with all of the other evidence still does not amount to sufficient evidence to prosecute. The suspect goes back and forth between whether there was a struggle or whether it was suicide. The physical evidence, however, does not clearly support either one of his stories to the exclusion of the other. The suspect's confusion over the facts could be the result of trauma and/or wishful thinking. It is true that the suspect ultimately revoked his offer to take a polygraph and cooperate in the scene reconstruction. His 4 interviews, coupled with the consent search of his house, make him a far more cooperative than uncooperative suspect. In summary, there appears to be insufficient evidence at this time even to present the case to a grand jury. My recommendation is to decline to prosecute at this time based upon the available evidence. Signed, Yavapai County Attorney Jim Landis. I then found a report canceling tests on the weapon. 9 days later, on November 18, 1993, scientific examinations were canceled on the weapon. Per Lieutenant Schmidt, the request for examination has been withdrawn at this time. This is another part that I've had a hard time with because the county attorney is asking for more evidence, but they are quite literally canceling examinations on the evidence. That never made any sense to me. By December 8, 1993, the Sedona Police Department and the Yavapai County Attorney's Office were done investigating. I have a report dated for this day to Chief Bob Irish from the Yavapai County Attorney, Charles Hastings. It states as such: enclosed is a copy of a memo for my chief, Jim Landis, which is the basis for our decision to decline prosecution of Russell Peterson at this time. I want to point out that I do not have a copy of that memo, just an office communication dated for December 8th stating that there was a memo. And poof, just like that, the investigation was over. Nothing really moved on my mom's case again for years. And I close out 1993 with the next memory I have of seeing my sister, and that was Christmas 1993. My aunt and my grandma did their best to make it a magical holiday like usual, but the magic was gone without my mom. I was forced into some ugly printed green 2-piece number, and my sister arrived in a hot pink tracksuit. I remember thinking my mom would never have dressed her like that for a Christmas event. We opened presents and got to spend a few hours together, but not alone. I won't have a chance to be alone with my sister again until summer 1994. The next time I see her is for the big Disneyland trip, a year later than planned. The trip we were supposed to go on with my mom, Aunt Wendy ended up taking us in the summer of 94, a year after her death. There, my sister tells me a different story. In that moment, everything shifted. The words that had been her truth, Poppy killed Mommy, were suddenly replaced with the version I had never imagined hearing. Mommy killed herself. Next week, I'll take you into one of the most devastating moments of my life, the first time I was finally alone with my little sister after our mother's death. In the squad car, she told me Poppy killed Mommy. She told every police officer, every social worker, every adult who would listen. But 1 year later, on the long-awaited trip to Disneyland, those words were gone, replaced with something I never expected to hear. Mommy killed herself. What happened in that year? How did my sister's story change so drastically, and why? Join me for the next episode of Poppy Killed Mommy as I revisit the summer of 94, the cracks in my sister's memory, and the decade that followed before she finally ran away from Russell Peterson and found her way back to me. Thank you so much for listening to Poppy Killed Mommy. This podcast is completely independent, just me, no production team, no corporate backing, fighting to bring my mom's story to light, one episode at a time. If you'd like to support this journey and help me share her case at CrimeCon this September, please consider donating to the GoFundMe. The link is in the episode notes. There's also a support the show button at the bottom of the show notes, where you can support the show monthly. A big shout out and thank you to the newest supporters of the show, Erica, Bethany, and another Tiffany. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Nicole Wasilishin for updates and behind the scenes content I am always posting. And if you or anyone has information about the death of my mother, Stacy Wasilishin, please contact the Sedona Police Department at 928-282-3100. And as always, I'll keep telling this story until there is no more story left to tell or no more breath in my body. Thank you for listening.